Welcome to the show and Happy New Year if you're Jewish, and Happy New Year if you're not Jewish as well. So we've got a very special show for you lined up today. We've got, if you watched the previous debate between myself, Alexander, Zubaydah, and Walid, we've got Walid back. He kept commenting in the chat, in the video, every time we did a video, that he'd like to come back and continue the discussion on whether Israel has a right to exist, whether he supports or rejects the Jewish homeland. So Walid, without further ado, actually, before we do that, I'd just like to say we'll be also opening up the questions at the end of the show. So if you have a question for Alexander, Walid, or myself, then just fire it into the chat on both YouTube and Facebook. And if you definitely want to get that question answered, add a star or a super chat on YouTube or Facebook, and we'll definitely answer that question. So without further ado, Walid, do you want to tell us why you don't support Israel as a Jewish homeland?
For me, I talked with you a lot before about Israel, and all the Israeli people, they say the same thing. We as a Jewish, a lot of people like killed us around the whole world. We get attacked, we get kicked out from our homes around the whole world, and then we decide to go back. But before all of this happening, you forget to tell people about the Rothschild family. The Rothschild family, who is the reason for First World War, Second World War. The acts they did is not you cannot even like title them as a human being. They corrupted the whole world. Because of them, millions of people died around the whole world. The whole world, you know. And the fact is, they were the richest. Should use that how the Jews in this time before First World War, they were good. They were living good, and the richest in the world were Jews. And what they did, they started the Zionist idea and the idea of taking the Holy Land but it's not any Holy Land. They just wanted land for themselves and to steal it. Forced Britain to give it to them. We put Britain under debit. We put France under debit. All of that just to get Israel. So before you asking about, before you telling me we fought, like how you say, everyone was racist to us, or we're getting attacked everywhere in the world, and that was the only choice. Remember what you did to the world. Remember what the Zionists, the first Zionist man, did to the world, and destroyed, corrupted, killed millions. You know.
Okay, so I'll just jump in there, Oli.
You mean Moses? You mean the prophet Moses? Wasn't he the first Zionist?
Sorry?
Trying to lead the Jewish. Wasn't the prophet Musa the first Zionist? Leading the Jewish people into the Holy Land.
But before we go down the Moses path, Walid, one question. Do you have any evidence for your charge that the Rothschilds were behind the First and Second World War so that they could create the State of Israel? Do you have any evidence?
Joseph, you know that what I'm saying is out there, is documented. A lot of people investigated that and they documented that, and it is there.
So can you give me one quote? Can you give me one quote?
So what is the reason? What is the reason Hitler started with the Jews?
What is the reason Israel started with the Jews?
Hitler.
Why did Hitler start with the Jews? Because he was an anti-Semite. There's numerous reasons. They blamed Jews for communism. They blamed Jews for the financial situation of the German people. But it was anti-Jewish racism, which had nothing to do with the creation of the Jewish state. Before we go to Hitler, because that's a distraction, I just want you to present your evidence, just any evidence, for the Rothschild, creating the First and Second World War so that the Jews could have a state in Israel. It's a very strong charge, so I assume you have some evidence.
Okay. Don't believe. Okay, I'm gonna be like accurate in what I'm saying. The Rothschild family encouraged the war, put England under debit, because England in this time was the emperor that the son doesn't go from it. So England had a lot of land everywhere, and they funded the war in France. All this war could stop. Could, you know, the government can find another solution if they can fund the war. But who funded it was the Rothschild. and they own it. The fact is there. When they build the first bank in, what is that called? The first bank in America was from them, and that was after the First World War.
What was the first bank in America, Waleed? What was the first bank in America?
It was like a special bank. First time they have the right to have a bank in America was after the Second World War because of the debt that the
so Americans didn't have a bank until after the Second World War.
No. They had banks, but it was a specialist bank for the Rothschild. They can have the rights more than anyone there. What I'm saying is that anyway. You don't need me first time to say it. Everyone in the comments sure knows the history of the Rothschild, sure know who funded France and who funded England, and who bought in England here when like make fake informations about England will lose the war. Everyone start to sell his houses. Rothschild bought it. England won the war, and they sold them back to the people 10 times more how they bought it. So they made money out of people blood. That's what they did. They corrupted the whole world. The whole world. It was war. The whole world entered in it, and they encouraged it, funded it. So
Waleed, can I just interrupt you, Waleed? So the first thing Joseph asked you was like, "What's your evidence?" But all you've done is repeat the charge. We want to know what's your evidence. Where have you learned this from? Who told you this? What books have you read? Who were these books written by? Where have you got this information from?
I got it from books. I got it from documentary. A lot of documentary on YouTube. If you don't believe me, you can get any documentary about them and show me your evidence. It's a lie. Because what I'm saying, it's out there. Is not something new. I'm telling you first time about it. The whole world know about the Rothschild. Get any video and explain to me how they lying. That's simple.
Do you think everything that's on YouTube is true?
No. But
so how do you know these people are reliable that are giving you this information about the Rothschilds? What makes you think?
Based in Israel history, I'm neighbor to Israel. I studied history. My school even forced me to study history for I knew the whole history since Israel started. Before that, I studied that for years and years. So I know what I'm talking about also. And for you, I'm just telling you, better than my English, you can find videos on YouTube explaining everything. And if you think it's a lie, explain to me why it's a lie. Before you say Egypt, Jewish were,
Would it surprise you, Waleed, if I told you that there were Rothschilds that were opposed to the state of Israel? And they were opposed to the state of Israel for a variety of reasons. Would that surprise you? And if you read Herzl's diaries, he actually goes into the conversations he had and why they were opposed to the state of Israel.
Yeah, so it's not going to surprise me because I know what you say. Maybe one of the family, but he's not effective. He is nothing. Someone wrote in his diary.
Do you know any of the Rothschilds at all, Waleed? Can you name any of them?
We know that we know the father. We know the fourth son. We know.
But that was long before World War I.
Yeah, that's when Zionists start.
So Zionism started.
That's about Zionist idea about taking his.
Waleed, how evidence works usually is you present it. You don't say I watch a YouTube video.
Sorry, I can't hear someone call, so I have to come in and out again, I think.
Okay. So while you're in and out, Alexander and myself will chat. Bear with me.
Okay, so
hopefully he's not just run away. I mean, it's pretty savage. I'm sure he'll be back. So the audience, everyone that's watching, there is a classic example. So Waleed, well-intentioned guy, Egyptian, being indoctrinated into a belief which he can't even substantiate. He has no reason why he believes he's back. Why the Rothschilds? He has no idea why he believes that the Rothschild started World War I, started World War II, created Zionism. He can't explain how he came to hold those positions, other than he watched a few YouTube videos. And truthfully, if we all got our education from YouTube, the world would be a very, very scary place. So, Waleed,
unless, of course, you're coming to the Israel advocacy movement. to get your education. Then you can 100%
we can
guarantee
move from this. Sorry?
Okay, we can move from this, Waleed, if you accept that you have no evidence, and you come up with another reason.
You the evidence is there. I told you the evidence is there. Bring any video and explain to me why is he lying.
That's not how something works. If you
so Waleed, when you make a claim, so if I say Waleed is last night Waleed stole something from my house, it's the burden of proof is on me to prove that you were in my house last night and you took something. I can't just say, well, to you, I'll just prove that I'm lying. And it's the same with this. If you're making a claim,
if there is a lot of videos about Waleed stealing everyone, and you saw that, when you say that to anyone, they're gonna believe you. Easy, simple, If there is a lot of evidence out there,
quick question, Waleed, quick question. Is the Earth flat?
Sorry?
Is the Earth flat?
Allah, I believe it's not.
I also believe it's not. Are there a lot of videos on YouTube that say it's flat?
Okay.
Is that strong evidence? No. There's lots of videos that say the Earth is flat.
I didn't see any other one saying what you say now about the Rothschild.
You've never seen videos talking about the Rothschild conspiracy theory being a conspiracy theory.
I studied economic. I studied when banks start. I studied when the Rothschild took more than 51%. I'm not ready now with that, but anyone studied economic, he will know what I'm saying.
Waleed, okay, so you've studied economics. Tell me how economics work. Tell me the banking system in the UK. Tell me about it.
If you think economic is just the banking system, you saw, that.
Okay, so tell me. You said you studied economics. Tell me what you know about economics.
I studied it like in uni in Egypt. So economic is not just money. It's about all your income or the whole country income and based on what. And I know.
Can you name any economists? Waleed, can you name any economists?
It's not. We're talking about Israel, but you're taking me to other stuff.
Because you just said that you know about economics.
You're saying the Rothschild is lie. All of it is a lie. They're not Jewish. They didn't support Israel. They didn't fund the war. You saying that?
I'm saying the Rothschild family. I'm saying, for instance, the British branch. Some members of the British branch of the Rothschild family were opposed to the state of Israel. Some members of the Rothschild family supported the state of Israel. There were other very influential financiers, Jews who were in banking, who supported Jewish colonies in South America. Your understanding of Jewish history is non-existent. It's about as strong as your understanding of economics. You claim that you know about economics because you studied it at university, yet you can't name one economist. You claim that the Rothschilds started the First World War, the Second World War, and started Zionism. Yet you can't name any of your sources.
Economist, two different things, Joseph. Economy and the economist, two completely different things. What are people who study economics called?
Waleed, what are people who study economics called? Economists. So if you study economics, you will come across economists who put forward different economic models. And so I'm asking you, like the Austrian school, Marxist schools of thought, like what do you know about economics? I'm not an economist, but I've just named some different branches of economics, which I would guess you don't know what I'm talking about. If I were to ask you what I mean by the Austrian school, what would your answer be?
So when I mentioned the economy, I mentioned that I studied about banking, and in what I studied about the Rothschild, who started the first banking in Europe between England and France, other two Europe countries. I can't remember to be accurate.
What was the name of this bank? What was the name of this first bank?
Don't take me. You know what I'm saying is true. You're trying to divide it, but my point is so.
No, we don't. That's the whole point, Waleed. We really don't. We don't think anything you've said so far.
You're trying to divide it. You're trying to divide it by hard question on someone. Maybe I can. If I understand it, I will answer you. But there is most of it I don't understand it. So what I'm saying to you, and it's so clear, that Rothschild started the banking, funded the war, so they are responsible of millions of people who died. Thank you.
Wally, you're making a claim.
You have other
evidence. You don't know what the name of the bank was. Do you know what year it was founded in?
To be honest,
you know what the name of the founders were?
In my mind to talk about before I come here. To be honest, you know, it was in my mind to bring evidence and to tell you where, which book, which year. You know, I can go 5 minutes and come back with evidence. You know, because I know where it is. Easy.
Please do.
I can come and tell you in which year the bank started, what they did to America to force them to open banking there.
You do realize,
I can tell that I can get evidence they funded the war.
You do realize there were banks in Europe centuries before Europeans went to America.
Yes. Have you heard of the Medicis?
Did they fund the war or no, Joseph? I'm asking you straight question. Did
the Rothschilds did not fund the First and Second World War?
Sorry?
The Rothschilds did not fund the First and Second World Wars.
Okay. That's it. I want to take that from your mouth and I will bring evidence of it. That's it.
Looking forward to
what you say is true.
Okay,
yeah, I'm gonna leave this way. Maybe what you say is true. Maybe what I'm saying is true. Cool. Because I was already with this Rothschild. Rothschild is you know, I know them. I know everyone know. Not only me. Yeah. I'm not coming.
We know you studied at Egyptian universities. God help Egypt if this is the university education you get. We'll move on to the next point. So we can leave it.
Listen. Economy is managing business. Economy is find the solutions to problem. I don't know how you say all of that by how you say all the subject and stuff. You know, I didn't study it by English. You understand me? But I know how. I know how the government balances their income or balance what they need. Independent in what? Exports mean what? Debit mean what? Yearly this mean. You know, this stuff you don't know about. If you're doing business, I can do for you what will happen in your business in 20 years based on your information. I can tell you what you need. You know, this stuff you need someone specialist to do it. This is me. But
why would I ask you about business when I've got the Rothschilds on speed dial?
You just invited anyway. But what I said is fact. Everyone know about the Rothschild family. Everyone. And now you're saying they don't fund. So
okay, so let's move on to another point. It's quite clear you don't have any evidence. You've watched a YouTube video, and that's fine. I watch YouTube videos about kittens. So you haven't got any evidence. You can come back on another show and you can present your case for how the Rothschilds invented banking so that they could create the state of Israel centuries later after bankrolling the First and Second World Wars. Happily have that debate with you. And you can tell us all about your university education. Nothing from Speaker's Corner. Just ask which university was it. I'm going to ask, was it Al-Azhar? Where did you go to?
Which university did you go to?
It's Cairo University.
Cairo University.
Yeah.
So moving on. Other than the Rothschild conspiracy theory, why do you oppose the creation of the state of Israel? Why do you oppose Israel as a Jewish state?
Okay, because also we witnessed them coming from Europe. After what happened to them from Hitler, no one was asking to come to Palestine or to claim Israel. There was no Israel, no one was there. You know, suddenly 60, 70 years ago, people came from Europe with evidence, picture, everything, even picture for them buying land. They came, the UN bring them because they were like getting killed in Europe. Hitler was after them, and they forced us to bring them, and they came. We welcomed them, treated them nice, and then wars, gangs, weapons coming from America. War started in the Arab. War started with Jordan, with Palestine, you know. And since that, the Middle East empire till this day. Since Israel started,
can I ask you
the Middle East empire till this day now.
Can I just ask you one question, Waleed? What is it you're smoking at the moment?
Sorry?
What is it that you're smoking at the moment?
Tobacco.
Okay. Are you sure?
Like tobacco. Yeah, man. I smoke tobacco. What is the point? Yani, I'm telling you also true fact documented out there. Also divide now. Let's hear what you have to say about that. Tell me where the Jew people before Hitler start to kill them? Why they didn't kill him?
Joe, nobody can hear you.
That's a good question, Walid. Where were the Jewish people before Adolf Hitler? But let's explore that. There were some Jews in what we now call Israel. There were Jews in the Middle East and North Africa. There were Jews in Europe. What happened to those Jews? Well, the Jews in the Middle East and North Africa, they started getting massacred by Arabs. The Jews in Europe, they started getting massacred by Europeans. The Jews in what we today call Israel started getting massacred by their neighbors. So why don't we go a little bit further back? Were there Jews in the area that we call Israel today before Hitler? Yes. In fact, before the Islamic conquest of the region, know that there's actually a Jewish state that controlled Jerusalem literally less than a decade before the Islamic conquest of that area. The majority population of that region back then were Jews and Christians. There was actually a Jewish army of tens of thousands of people which fought in that region, which fought with the Persians in that region. And they were from the Galilee. So your history on Israel is as good as your history on the Rothschild. It's seriously lacking, my friend. Okay. Jews have had a continuous presence in the land of Israel for millennia. And only a fool would argue. And the Jews that then left the lands that they were living in to rejoin their brothers and sisters in Israel, they did so because they were massacred by their neighbors. In Egypt, the Jews did not fare too well, Walid. In Morocco, the Jews didn't fare well. In Iraq, the Jews didn't fare well. In Syria, the Jews didn't fare well. In Germany, the Jews didn't fare well. In Poland, the Jews didn't fare well. And guess what, Walid? We don't want to live under you anymore. We're happy to live side by side with you as brothers, as equals. But we are no longer going to be under the boot of any man, dependent upon their mercy, but dependent on them showing us mercy and not persecuting us, which they don't have a great track record of. So, Walid, that's your history. Jews never left the land. Before Islam conquered, we had a state in the land. So, do you know any of this? Or is this news to you?
Saying it's completely a lie, because in Egypt, the Jew people were famous that they rich, they sell gold. They the people, if you need money and you need the money, you can go to them and they take debit from them. So all of this shows that how the rich was so comfortable in Egypt. I don't know about Morocco, but I don't believe what you're saying, because Morocco is Muslims. Million were living in Morocco. Million Israeli coming from Morocco. You understand? So I'm sure this million people wasn't under attack. Israel who attracted them to come. Israel who paid for them to come. You know, but we as a Muslim, they lived with us for thousands of years without any problem. And if Adolf Hitler didn't start it with you, you wouldn't do this or come to Israel or come to Palestine. You asking your question about, does Israel have the right to exist? What about the Palestine people? How come you woke up, you someone from Europe, because you're Jew, you're gonna go and kick out someone who is Middle Eastern, lived there for thousands of years, just because you're Jew? You know, it's not because you're from there. You look Europe, Joseph, you know. Yani for me, when I look to you, you doesn't look Middle Eastern at all. I see you look Europe, you look Irish, you know, but you telling me that you have the right more than an Arab man in the Middle East doesn't make any sense, you know. But that's a proper occupation, that's a proper forcing, and you telling me that you suffered under the Muslim. Look what the Muslim, look to the Muslim in Israel. What's happening to them? Children, women, and the men in jail, we're getting hit, we're getting beaten, burning them alive, burning kids alive. In your festivals, burning kids alive. You know, that to have fun, you burn the kids.
In our festivals, burning kids alive. Which festivals are these?
You did it 3-4 years in Israel. Yeah. Jewish people did it. Go and check it.
Which festivals are these?
Yeah, it was a festival. It was a festival where they burning something. You have a Jewish festival where you have to fire something. I don't know what you do. And the end
maybe you mean Lag BaOmer.
They threw Molotov on a house where his little kid was sleeping, and the kid burned it. This bit, anyone think I'm a lion? anyone think I'm lying? The video is there by Arabic, by English, documented.
You've gone again, Joe.
Waleed, you're conflating two things.
Waleed. Yeah.
No, I'm telling you that all what you're saying is a lie, and the fact is you who oppressing everyone. No one oppressed you. The fact you was rich by the Rothschild was rich, and this fact we're not gonna go to the Rothschild, but the fact the Rothschild was rich. The Jew is rich around the whole world, and they give debit to everyone, even in Egypt. It's a fact. It's also I witnessed the big places was for the Jew, and they were living in peace. But when you took the Palestine, and turn it to Israel, you started to kill, to oppress. So I think because you oppressing, you trying to say we oppressed to hide what you really doing these days.
So Waleed, let's go a little bit earlier than 100 years ago, because 100 years is very recent. Certainly in Jewish history, Jewish people are 4,000 years old. As a nation, going back to Avraham Avinu, Alav HaShalom.
But why you want to go back when Israel history is just 60, 70 years? How is that? 60 years ago?
Because
no, 60 years, Waleed.
There was Israel before that, Joseph. There was Israel? No.
So Waleed, please don't. I didn't interrupt you. Please don't interrupt me.
Okay. I'm just going to stop everyone. Everyone, stop. We're going to do it respectfully. So, Waleed, we won't interrupt you. I won't interrupt Alexander, and we'll all try and take turns. So it's Alexander now, and if anyone interrupts, I'll mute them because I've got the power. I've got Rothschild power.
Okay, so you asked why are we going back more than 60 or 70 years? Because Jewish history goes back 4,000 years. So all of that history is relevant. We're a people that's existed for 4,000 years. We were a family with Abraham and Sarah and Yitzchak and Yaakov and his 12 children, going into Egypt, coming back as a nation, standing at Mount Sinai, receiving the Torah, going under the leadership of Joshua into the land of Israel. I'm sure this is all things that you don't dispute any of this. This is all also, I assume, in the Quran, at least some of the details of this. So that's our history. You can't, if you want to talk about history, you can't just start the clock at a point that's convenient for you. You have to take the whole of history into account. So this is one of the. So you agree that there was a Jewish kingdom in the land of Israel, or what you call Palestine, before the year 2000. So 2,000 years ago, before there was an do you agree with that there was an independent Jewish kingdom under under King David, under King Solomon, King Ahaz?
No,
King Hezekiah.
No. I want to stop with you when they said they get kicked out from Egypt. So their land is Egypt or Palestine?
No, I didn't say they got kicked out of Egypt. I just said they left Egypt.
They were running away from Egypt, from the Pharaoh. Yeah, so we know that
God delivered us from the pagans.
Yeah, and God gave Musa the power to open the sea, and they crossed it. So their place, if you wanna start, Musa alayhi salam got born in Egypt. So what makes you claim Palestine, no Egypt?
Because we never had a kingdom in Egypt. We were living as slaves in Egypt. We were under the yoke of someone else. In Israel, we were a sovereign nation for centuries. We had autonomy for at least 1,300 years, and we had multiple kingdoms in Israel.
No. You didn't enter Jerusalem. You didn't enter Palestine. You didn't enter. You was outside. And where the Jew killed the prophet there, Yeshua. What was his name? Shia. Where the he was outside Palestine. Joshua. When you left Egypt, you didn't enter it.
We didn't enter Egypt, or we didn't enter Israel.
Yeah. Where the prophet? Where the Jew killed the prophet?
The Jews didn't kill the prophets. That's what you say. We don't say that.
No.
The prophets were Jews. They were our family.
No, they killed the prophet after Musa.
You stole our prophets. Yeah.
I stole your prophet.
And then you insult us about our prophets. Yeah.
No,
Joshua,
no. I stole your
Joshua
prophet. Your
was a
prophet
Jewish
is a
prophet.
in my belief.
Joshua, go on, Joe.
No, I was literally just saying he's a Jewish prophet. You can't come along and tell us that not only is he your prophet, but we killed him. It doesn't work like that.
Him. I'm not saying you killed him. I'm saying that the people who was Jew in this time killed him, and that's wrong.
Okay, well, I don't want this to go down the religious path. We have different religious beliefs. Jews don't believe that we killed the prophets. Jews.
Yeah, but the fact is, the kingdom was never built there.
So, Walid, here we go. Anyway. Walid. If you go to Israel and you dig, the archaeology that you find in Jerusalem, in places like Ir David, the city of David, you don't find them in Arabic. You find Hebrew from that period. Hebrew was the language of Jews. Jerusalem is filled with artifacts that were Jewish. If you go and you stand on Haram al-Sharif and you look west, you'll see a graveyard which has Hebrew, Jewish graves, which are thousands of years old and centuries old. Very, 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 very old graves. With Hebrew.
Is Hebrew only for Jews?
Walid, I'm going to mute you until I finish.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So for you to say that the Jews never entered Jerusalem is objectively false. Anybody can go and visit the graveyard I'm talking about. They can go to places like Ir David and they can see the archaeology with their own eyes. You also made the claim that the Palestinians had been living there for centuries. So Jews, I can show you how we have a connection to that land for centuries and millennia, for thousands of years. The Husseinis, one of the most prominent families amongst the Palestinians, they came with Salahuddin. The Nashashibis, who were the rivals of the Husseinis, they were Kurds. I can literally go through all the major Palestinian families, from the Tamimis to the Khalidis to all of the families, the Al-Masris, and tell you where they came from. Your heroes like Yasser Arafat, was born in Cairo. He was an Egyptian, not a Palestinian. Is it enough? Because every major, or not every major, but many of the major Palestinian figures weren't born in what you would call Palestine and what we would call Israel.
Because it's not Palestine.
You have a connection, which is like you are the original people from the land, But the archaeology says otherwise. Muslims came in the 7th century. They conquered the land. To that, just a few years earlier, there had actually been a Jewish kingdom there, which was subordinate to Persia, but it was still a Jewish kingdom. We have had an unbroken in 1517. There was a conflict between the Mamluks and the Ottomans, two Muslims. And the Jews were murdered by both in Hebron and in Tzfat, in Safed. So we have Jews living there. We have an unbroken chain of Jews living there, and we can show how many of the Palestinians came from elsewhere. Even today, your heroes like Muhammad al-Kurd. Al-Kurd, what's that mean? He's a Kurd, the Kurd, not the Palestinian, not the Arab, the Kurd.
And even the name Palestine or Palestinian comes from Hebrew. It comes from the Hebrew Bible. It comes from the Pelishtim, which, by the way, means invaders in Hebrew. A sea people who don't originate from the land of Israel, who came from across the sea to invade the land of Israel, the ancient land of Israel. So this name, the name that Palestinian, is not even an indigenous Arabic name that these people have had for generations. It's a name derived from Hebrew that goes back to the Hebrew Bible. So this whole identity is dependent on Hebrew. You can't deny that there's a Hebrew foundation. The name of Jerusalem in Arabic.
I can't deny that at all, and I can't deny that even there is connection between the Hebrew language and the Arabic language in some in some word. Hebrew language is so old language, used even Sulaiman, since Sulaiman or before that, not only for the Jew. So you might find Hebrew language, but it's not. It's maybe for my ancestor or your ancestor. My ancestor and your ancestor at this time, they were speaking Hebrew in the Middle East. So it's not. So when you find the Hebrew, let me finish because I didn't.
The hieroglyphics, the hieroglyphics are not Hebrew, are they? They're not. In ancient Egypt,
the hieroglyphic is not language, mate. The hieroglyphic is not language. The hieroglyphic is way of writing, but it's not. It's not language. Hieroglyphic, you cannot pronounce hieroglyphic, or hieroglyphic is way of writing. That's
one question, and then I'll let you finish. One question, then I'll let you finish. Which people, other than the Hebrews, spoke Hebrew?
At the moment, it's only Jew. Yeah, in this day, it's Jew.
But you said historically other people, so I'm asking and I don't know, so it's a genuine question. Which people, other than the Hebrews, my people, spoke Hebrew?
So in Sulaiman time?
Historically.
Yeah, in King Solomon. Yeah, in King Solomon. in King Solomon, Hebrew was there. So Hebrew was there before Musa was thousands of years. Hebrew was there.
Before Musa, Solomon wasn't before speaking? Musa.
Yeah, Sulaiman was before Musa. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He was about 1,000 years after Moses.
King Sulaiman.
Yeah.
King Sulaiman wasn't before Musa. Are you sure?
No. Absolutely positive.
No, but go check it. I don't know. You understand, or there is, like.
Yeah, believed with absolute certainty.
King Sulaiman after Musa. That's what you say.
Yes.
Yeah.
No question that's the case.
All right. So when the Jew saying that we wanna dig and get the King Solomon temple and the stuff and what is that? What is that about? King Solomon came after Musa, yeah.
Yeah. Both Solomon as in the Jewish king and Solomon as in the Muslim, they both came after Musa. Musa actually didn't enter there. So for those that watching, Musa, as you probably guessed, Moses didn't enter the land of Israel.
King Solomon who ruled as a warlord, he ruled as a jinn, who ruled everything.
So you're speaking Islamic history, and I'm pretty confident because I'm not an expert in Islam, but I'm pretty confident that within Islam it teaches that Musa. Oh, he's dropped out.
We've lost.
But I'm not surprised. I would be running too. He's quickly consulting the Quran to see if his history is correct. Wow. That was interesting. Hopefully he comes back. If he doesn't, but I'll just finish my point. So within both the Islamic and Jewish tradition, Moses comes before Solomon. That's just
by a few hundred years, not 1,000 years, as I said before, but it's a few hundred years. So you had Moses, then Joshua, then the
he's back.
Judges. Walid's back. Okay.
Yeah. No, this is big coming. And if I'm wrong in this, this means that I need to study a lot. King Solomon is after Musa. That's impossible, man.
So if any of the Muslims in the audience can confirm, because as I said, I'm not an imam. I do have the beard and the knowledge, but I'm not an imam. If any of the ulama in the chat can confirm within the Islamic tradition, does Moses come before Solomon? I'm 95% confident of that, but hey, I'm not a Muslim. I haven't shaved my mustache. So moving on, moving the conversation forward. So just as a quick recap, so your first opener was that the Rothschilds created Zionism and started the world wars. You had no evidence for that. Cool. Your next point was the Palestinians had always been there and the Jews had no connection to Jerusalem and the Jews had never been in Jerusalem. We presented you with archaeological evidence, and so again, you had no evidence for that.
Okay,
you then said,
Joseph, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. You digging under the Aqsa Mosque. What did you find?
Walid, let me just summarize, and then we can come to Al-Aqsa.
Under the Aqsa Mosque, 60 years you digging under it. What did you find under it?
We haven't dug anything underneath it. Only the tunnels adjacent. We have not dug under the under the Temple Mount. We have dug
There is
around the Temple
video
Mount.
for Joseph saying the temple is under it, and now you're saying there's nothing under it.
No, I'm saying we haven't dug under it. Not that there's nothing there, just that we haven't dug there, because we respect Muslims and our Arab citizens. We don't want to dig under the Temple Mount. When the Moshiach comes and the temple is rebuilt, that's the time for messing around on the Temple Mount. For the moment,
I just want to finish my quick. So we then got to the Palestinians, who you said had an ancient connection, and we showed you how the prominent families actually came more recently. So every single point you brought so far, you've had no evidence for, and we've refuted with evidence. Yeah,
no
so
problem.
Have you got any other argument?
I said that, and that's out there. You just divided blame with words.
Yeah, you said watch YouTube videos. I watch YouTube videos about kittens. That's not evidence. YouTube video is not evidence.
I agree. I agree with you. But anyway, Joseph, you have to know that I'm Egyptian. I have experience with you. I know that the debate with you is just you manipulator. The Zionist manipulating. They're gonna manipulate every fact. They do that all the time. So I'm not debating you to tell you what or change your mind. No, I know what I'm gonna get from that. I know exactly. But the fact is, we're gonna say loudly all the time. We're gonna say this fact all the time, and the people are gonna go and they check it. People are gonna think about it, and this is what we own all the time. It's not about come with your evidence. No, all what I'm saying is there. It's fact, and we're gonna always make people remember it. Yeah.
So
next point.
Waleed, you've got a great platform here. You're speaking to thousands of Jews, thousands of Zionists. So it's a great opportunity for you to present a compelling argument to win people over to your cause. But so far, you haven't brought any evidence. And you said you realize that we're going to win the debate effectively because we have more knowledge on the subject. And truthfully, you're right. We have a lot more knowledge on the subject than you do, an awful lot more knowledge. And you asked me if you could come back on the show. You asked me if you could come on the show. And I'm happy to host you because genuinely, I have no animosity towards you. You've called me a disease before because I'm Jewish. You've called me all kinds of insults. I've never insulted you back. I've never insulted you back, and I actually genuinely do see you as my cousin.
I called the Israel a disease. In my opinion, in millions of Arab people' opinion, yes. Since you came, we are on fire. We are oppressed. We are in problems. Man, you don't let us have peace, man. Why you don't understand that? Why you don't understand is that we were living in peace, and you bombing, firing. Bombing our brother and sister, and we have to sit and watch. You don't let us breathe, man. It's not I hate you. No, I don't hate you. I hate Israel. That's it. I didn't see any peace from it. The country since it came, the Middle East was in fire. Iraq destroyed, Syria destroyed, war with Egypt, war with Palestine. People dying, man.
Who invaded Israel, Waleed? Who invaded Israel? Who invaded? Who fired the first shot? You're complaining about these wars, but who started them? I mean, the documented history. Hold on, Waleed. The documented history on the 29th of November 1947, the United Nations passed a partition plan called United Nations General Assembly Resolution 181, which partitioned Palestine, which was then a British mandate, not an independent kingdom. It was a British colonial possession, and it was partitioned into a Jewish state and an Arab state. Now, the reason it was partitioned was because Arabs had already been attacking Jews for 25 years at that point, since 1921, since the Nabi Musa riots in Jerusalem, in Tzfat, in Hebron. There were massacres of Jews in 1921 as well, between 1936 and 1939. And when the United Nations, on the 29th of November, when the United Nations passed the partition plan, there were people on the streets of Tel Aviv dancing in jubilation. The Jewish agency, the Israeli or the Jewish government of the day, happily accepted the plan. It wasn't a perfect plan, and we didn't have our ancient capital, Jerusalem. We had only a small portion of our land, but we accepted it. And the Arab leadership of the time rejected it. And you know what happened on the very next day? On the 30th of November, 1947? So Arabs attacked 2 Jewish buses, killing, I think, 16 people. 16 just people on a bus. That was the Arab response. So the Jews said, great. Jews were dancing in the street at the prospect of an independent Jewish state. And the Arabs, unfortunately, and I say this, it's sad because we know what happened after that. We know that there was a war, and Israel lost. Israel lost 1% of its population in the War of Independence. This was not a strong army, sweeping aside everyone that came to us. But yes, we did win. We did fight back,
okay.
and who invaded? On the 15th of May, when Israel declared independence at the end of the British Mandate, who started hostilities? Whose armies did Israeli soldiers march into Syria on the 15th of May 1948? Did Israeli soldiers start advancing towards Cairo? Did they start advancing towards Amman, towards Baghdad, towards Beirut? No. It was Arab soldiers joining Arab volunteers from the Arab Liberation Army who'd already been attacking Jews for 6 months. It was
so
the Arab
I want us to be here because you're talking about
independence.
You're talking about independence, and Israel lost people in independence war. When 5 minutes ago we were talking in point about the right Israel to exist, and you were saying how the Israeli people was massacred everywhere around the world, was getting killed and attacked, and that's why they have to go and claim land from thousands of years. So they who went to Palestine, they who attacked, they who shot the first shot, the people who's coming from the whole world, who the Palestine people, why is the Palestine people in defense? They are living in their land, but because the Jew getting killed, they decided to go kick out the Palestinian, and everyone have to sit and watch. If they defended their land, which is they lived there at least 1400 years, because Islam documented it. It is a Muslim. Our Prophet prayed there, so it is a Muslim. And when you was talking about, you have Muhammad the Kurd, you have a lot of people who's not Palestinian. Yes, I agree with you, because it's not a Palestine problem. That it is an Islamic problem. It is a Islamic honor. The mosque for us is our honor. Is Islam honor. So you might find the Egyptian will defend the Kurdi. Any Muslim, if Pakistani will defend any Muslim around the whole world should defend the mosque, should back up the mosque when the mosque asks for him, or his Islamist question, straight away. Yeah, this fact, and that you heard that so many times. Well, I'm not also saying something new. The mosque for us is not only about Palestine. So back into the point about. Can I
just jump in? I've just got one thing, Walid. You started by saying you were opposed to Jews coming from all over the world to a land which we all agree is their ancestral homeland. We all agree the Jewish people live there and the Jews live there. So we can say that it's a Jewish connection to the land. And your argument is that Muslims from all over the world, Bosnia, doesn't matter, they have an obligation because of Islamic honor to go and kill the Jews who also
I didn't say that. No. I didn't say that. To defend the mosque. That's it.
Okay, defend the mosque however you want. I mean, I don't know what they're defending the mosque from. The only people that can pray there are Muslims. Jews can't pray there. Walid, let me finish. Let me finish.
Let me finish.
I mute. You let me finish.
Yeah, but don't put words in my mouth as well,
Okay, so I'll take the words out. If that's not what you said, that's fine. To defend the honor of the mosque. I'm happy to say that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So anybody who's listening can see the absurdity of that, because you're holding Jews to a standard that you're not holding Muslims to. You're saying Muslims who've never. Walid, I'll mute. I'll mute. Israelis, fine. It doesn't matter what you want to call them. We, the Jewish people, the overwhelming majority of Jewish people, support the existence of Israel as a Jewish state. The overwhelming. There are millions of Jews live there today. And what you're saying is that you hold Muslims to a different standard. But I want to move away from that point, because anyone that's listening can hear the absurdity that you object to Jews taking refuge in their ancestral homeland when they're being persecuted, but you welcome Muslims from around the world defending the honor of Al-Aqsa. Now, what I really want to say is grow up. And why I'm saying grow up is because you, like so many Muslims that I speak to who have more extreme views on this conflict, blame Israel for everything that's wrong. 2 minutes or I'll mute. Blame Israel for everything that's wrong in the Middle East. Waleed, the reason Syria is in flames, the reason Lebanon is bankrupt, the reason the entire Yemen is a catastrophe, the reason for all these things is not Israel. It's Muslims. It's Muslims fighting Muslims. Take responsibility for your own actions. Don't blame the Jews for everything that's going wrong in your life. People like you blame the Jews when their toilet doesn't work. Grow up.
No,
we're not responsible for what's happening in the Middle East. Yeah? The reason these Muslim countries are in flames is because of Muslims, not Jews. And the minute you take accountability and responsibility is the minute you can move forward and these nations can blossom. And these nations can go on to build incredible things. You know what? If the Palestinians took the same attitude as the Jews, in 1948, and instead of declaring war on their neighbors, they built a nation, you would have had 70 years of economic boom. You would have two nations benefiting from each other's existence. Instead of exporting Qassam rockets and missiles and terrorism, you could be exporting technology and all manner of agricultural produce. You could literally be just like Israel, but instead you choose war and conflict and blaming the Jews. Grow up. Now you can go.
Okay, so Israel did a lot of massacres. One of them, Sabra and Shatila, where they killed, go and write it, Sabra and Shatila in Lebanon, a Palestine refugee full of 100 people, Palestinian. They entered, they killed them. So you want me to be like Palestine? And I just mentioned one massacre, And the fact is, I'm saying, anyone have the right to defend his homeland, the land he lived there for centuries and centuries. And you have no right. I can look to half of the Israeli nation, the all Europe people, they all coming from America, coming from, and you telling me they have the right more than people who looked after the land, who growed up this land for years, ate olive, who ate everything and protected their land and made it beautiful for thousands of years. And you want us to forget all of that, just to accept it and be like Israel? No, you can't force me. You can't come to my land and build and think you will force us to do what you want. Look to if you think is that you strong or something. Look to what's happening now in Israel. Look how Israel is losing. Iran hitting her. Six prisoners from the Freedom Tunnel. Run away. Make the strongest prison in Israel is joke. All the country is a joke, is a lie. Israel is just a lie, and you have to accept it. The strongest country is a joke. Iran is playing mess with you, and the 6 prisoner with a spoon run away from the strongest prison. So
well, you can have your 6 prisoners, that escaped with a spoon. If that's your achievement, Mazel Tov. We have one of the most innovative nations on this planet.
They're gonna make Israel cry. This takes, that your government, not normal people. This takes is so big up to them anyway.
This is what I'm saying, your achievement. You're like, look how amazing the Palestinian society is 6 guys escaped, 6 terrorists escaped from a prison with
6
a
murderers.
6 murdering terrorists escaped. 2 minutes, Wally, 2 minutes. And they were terrorists. They attacked civilians, killed
innocent.
people.
The innocent. That's what you accused.
My point. It's a tangent. My point is very simple. If your greatest achievement is 6 convicts escaping from a prison with a spoon, yeah, that's pretty pathetic. We're literally talking a country like Israel, which contributes so much to the world in terms of innovation, technology, medical science. We're literally making the world a better place through our creative output. Yeah, that's what a nation. That's what I wish the Palestinians.
Joseph, 1 second, please. You always talk, Joseph, you know, and you don't let me talk. When I talk, you interrupt me as well. So let me finish my point, Wallah. I didn't finish responding you anyway in the first point.
Finish your point, then I'll finish mine.
You talking here to people from Europe. You laugh on them. They don't know what your Mossad doing. They don't know about your Mossad who's selling drugs. You don't know about your Mossad who yes, selling coke and sending like cancer cigarette. Hurting the Arab. You not living next to us in peace, Joseph. Stop lying, Joseph. The ISIS leader was from your Mossad. Was from your own Mossad, Joseph. You know what? These people here in Europe, they don't know what your Mossad doing. How they assassinate. How they buying drugs. How they make it cheap in countries. How they making people sick. What you do? We know that, Joseph. We suffering. You know, I'm not talking through just the videos here. No, we suffering. Being neighbor to Israel is suffer. You don't understand that. You know, is a proper disease in the Middle East.
So, Walid, I let you speak. Now let me speak. A few years ago, there was a story that came from Egypt where the Egyptian government blamed Israel for training sharks to attack Egyptian tourists. It was the most stupid argument, stupid news story I'd heard in years. It's literally space laser stupidity. And I never understood how this could be taken seriously until I speak to people like you, Walid. You literally believe the hand of the Jew is behind everything. You're talking about cancer sticks, cigarettes. And the best thing about this is, Walid, you're talking about cigarettes and whatnot. You're there waving your tobacco at the beginning of the talk. The reason, Walid, Walid, I'm going to mute you. I let you speak. Walid, heaven forbid, smoking should affect your health. But if it ever does, you know who's responsible for that? You. Not the Mossad, not Jews, not Zionists, but you. Because you, as a human with autonomy and free thought, decided that you wanted to take up smoking. And I hope you quit. I hope you move away from smoking because it's not healthy. But if you don't, and it has an impact on your health, it's your fault. Walid, let me finish.
Like poisoned.
Walid, if you listen to what I'm saying, it's the key to your own liberation. It's the key to your own progression, your own advancement, because you are responsible for what happens in Egypt. Egyptians are the people who determine what happens there, whether it's the Muslim Brotherhood or whether it's something else. It's Egyptians, not Israel. ISIS is not the Israel Secret Intelligence Service or whatever nonsense you read on the internet. It isn't. It's Muslims. It's Muslims who came from all around the world, including Iraq and then Syria, to fight and establish a caliphate. Yeah? Hamas is not a product of the Mossad. Hamas is a product of the Muslim Brotherhood. They were the Muslim Brotherhood in Gaza. Yeah? The minute you take accountability for your own people and your own action is the minute your people can achieve the same sort of levels of success as we've seen in Israel. And I pray that you do achieve that.
Did Israel attack Egypt before and took Sinai?
In 1948, Egypt attacked Israel. It conquered Gaza. It tried to conquer much more of Israel. It ethnically cleansed a friend of mine's family from Gaza. That's not true. In 1948, Egypt didn't.
Egypt attacked Israel. Gaza, you know.
Egypt did conquer Gaza. They literally. You're not aware that Egypt conquered Gaza? Walid, you don't know this. I thought you went to
No, I know
university in
Egypt. I
Cairo.
know Egypt took the Gaza. I know Egypt took the Gaza, but I don't know that Egypt attacked the Israel and they took the Gaza. No. There was no Israel in this time. You know, Israel started. Where is Belfort?
In 1948, it was in
1948.
Israel. They declared independence.
time?
That's why Egypt attacked.
Independence. There was no independence. There was no Israel before that. Independence from where? There was no Israel. Even the people was still outside in their countries. You didn't collect.
When was there a
Israel.
Palestine, Waleed? Didn't we have this debate
Israel
last time?
without people. Sorry?
We had this debate last time, Waleed. You weren't able to show us any time in history when there was a country called Palestine.
Let me tell you who was Palestine. Get the Balfour Declaration right now. You're gonna find Palestine written there. Written there in the Balfour Declaration.
And what quote did I end you on?
Palestine didn't exist when the Balfour Declaration was written.
Okay. Can we read the Balfour Declaration?
No, we can. But the thing is that it's like the actual
Are
Palestine.
you brave enough to bring the Balfour Declaration?
Waleed, can I say something? Waleed, when the Balfour Declaration was, excuse me, nobody disputes that the word Palestine is in the Balfour Declaration. No one's going to argue with you about that. But the point is that Palestine, as a bounded territory, as a defined area, did not exist at the time of the Balfour Declaration.
So why it's mentioned?
Because it was a region of the Ottoman Empire at the time. There was a wider region. So there was. So you had
a region,
you had
city,
the Damascus,
a place, but it was Israel in it. It was Palestine.
So it's like, for example, so if somebody called Iran Persia, we wouldn't say, oh, where is Iran? Iran never existed. We just say, well, there's two different names for the same place. And this is the same with Palestine and Israel. There's the Jewish people have always called
what
our
you're saying
homeland the land
is
of
the
Israel.
original. So
what non-Jews?
What you're saying is the real name for Israel, or Israel original name was Palestine. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah?
No, that's not.
No, what I'm saying is that the Jews have always referred to our homeland as Israel. Now, if non-Jews want to call Israel by a different name, of course, it's a free country. It's a free place. You can use whichever name you like, but we're still talking about the same place. I think what you call it.
Can I ask you something? Really, I don't understand.
It's irrelevant. Go on.
So you saying that your ancestor was referring to it as Israel? How come? Yes. Honestly, I want to know that hardly. How come you knew that Israel is in Palestine? It's not in Jordan. It's not in Iraq. It's not in Syria. It's not in Egypt.
Really
because we
easy
used to live there. Because we used to live there.
Continuously live.
You look English, my friend, or American. Yeah, wallah, you look English.
So my family is from my family is directly descended from the great grandson of the Prophet Abraham. Allah shalom.
Me as well. Yes. You know, me as well. My family was living there. I got my DNA test, which is saying that haplogroup, that the first man in my lineage was from Palestine. You know that, and the first woman was from Ethiopia. 36,000 years ago.
What's your haplotype? What is your haplotype?
I can't remember exactly, but my DNA test is on my channel anyway.
Okay, Waleed, I'm just going to read you a few quotes.
I swear, I'm not lying. I come from Palestine 36,000 years.
It's highly possible. It's highly possible. I don't doubt that. You come from Egypt, it's next door to Israel. I wouldn't doubt that for a second.
Maybe I look European to you. My family is from the tribe of Levi, and we know that family lived in Israel. They sung in the temple. They played the music in the temple of King Solomon.
Which famous prophet came from that family? Or which prophet?
What is this temple? What is this temple?
Waleed, just before we move on to the temple, I just want to read you a few quotes, okay? There is no. We went through this one last time. There is no such country as Palestine. Palestine is a term the Zionists invented. There is no Palestine in the Bible. Our country was for centuries part of Syria. Only by Abdul Hadi. Yeah, he said that in 1937 to the Peel Commission.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I have
This is
something to read as well. I have something to read as well. One second.
Walid.
Okay,
2 minutes. I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you otherwise. Next quote. This is by Yusuf Dis al-Khalidi, who was the mayor of Jerusalem in 1819. Yeah, this is a long time ago. Who can challenge the rights of the Jews to Palestine? Good Lord. Historically, it is really your country. He said that to Rabbi Zadok Khan, who was I believe the chief rabbi of France. Yeah. Then let's fast forward a bit. This is King Hussein of Jordan. The truth is that Jordan is Palestine and Palestine is Jordan. Or how about Hafez Assad? Yeah, I'm sure you're no fan of the Assads. There is no such thing as a Palestinian people. There is no Palestinian entity. There is only Syria. You're an integral part of the Syrian people. Palestine is an integral part of Syria. Therefore, it is we, the Syrian authorities, who are the true representatives of the Palestinian people. Final quote, Yasser Arafat. The question of borders doesn't interest us. From the Arab standpoint, we mustn't talk about borders. Palestine is nothing but a drop in an enormous ocean. Our nation is the Arabic nation that stretches from the Atlantic Ocean to the Red Sea and beyond it. The PLO is fighting Israel in the name of pan-Arabism. What you call Jordan is nothing more than Palestine. And so why am I saying all this? Because Palestine was never a country. Palestinian nationalism, or the Palestinians as a collective people, is a modern innovation. So much so, yeah, that a Palestinian from Hebron won't marry a Palestinian from Nablus. There's no unity. A Jew from Morocco will marry a Jew from Lithuania. A Jew from Yemen will marry a Jew from Ireland. There's no issue whatsoever with amongst the Jews, amongst intermarriage, because we are one people. Israel is one nation. Yeah, that's not the case with the Palestinians. Palestinian is a modern national identity that arose in reaction to the creation of Israel. To begin with, the Arab nations that surrounded Israel attempted to conquer it. So when Jordan conquered the West Bank, it declared it was part of Jordan and annexed it. Yeah, it took it. When Egypt took Gaza, they tried to do the same. 2 minutes. It was only until they lost multiple wars and the Palestinians realized that they weren't going to be part of some pan-Arabist empire that they took on the Palestinian national cause as the latest way of trying to undermine the existence of the Jewish state. Palestinian nationalism rose in reaction to Zionism. Yeah, there was never a country called Palestine. There was never a Palestinian king, a Palestinian country, a Palestinian culture, a Palestinian currency. These things never, ever existed. And if they did, you would respond to each one of those statements I just made with your evidence. But you have none because there was never a country called Palestine.
Okay. I have a statement here by Walid al-Shahadi. Israel is just a disease and is not, it doesn't have the right to be exist. Statement, I found it. Is a fact. It's not a fact. All your statement is not a fact. What is the fact? The fact is the Balfour Declaration, which was signed by the UN, which was in this time all the countries admitted there was a Palestine, and they given Israel right to take some of land from Palestine and they live peacefully next to Palestine, written and documented. And this is like proper paper. You know, government paper, not all this statement. I can get you so many statements about Israel. Another thing, we talked about so many points, man, and I ask you to stop. Yeah, well, but the Balfour Declaration is the biggest proof about Palestine. Another point about Palestine, which you keep saying it's modern. It's modern. No, Joseph, it's not modern. The Quran, our Muslim Quran, from 1400 years, Palestine mentioned Palestine. Mentioned where is it, what is inside it, Al-Aqsa Mosque, who is inside it, mentioned in the Quran. You know, so it's documented from 1400 years. Muslim there, worshiping there, praying there. I don't know how this like mental illness or schizophrenia. You know, people living there. We the Muslim living there from 1400 years, calling it Palestine. traveling from Palestine, who coming from Palestine, writing poetry about Palestine. The Arabic people had nothing in the past. They used to live in tent, and the two goats next to the tent. And the only thing they had, their mouth. They were so nice in poetry, and that's why Quran is a miracle. But anyway, the Arab, they documented everything. They had nothing to do in their life, just the poetry and the beautiful talk. That's why the Arabic talk is nice. So they documented for us Palestine. I can see Palestine everywhere in Quran, in a holy book written from 1400 years. Mosque there used from 1400 years. Balfour Declaration, who is 70, 60 years ago, giving the Jew rights after what happened to them in Europe to come. But you want me to ignore all of that? And just because you're saying it's a modern name, just because some statement, you want me to ignore all of that, Joseph?
Okay, so
you can't change the Quran, Joseph. It's written inside our Quran, Joseph. So you can't.
Perfect.
How many
perfect.
times
Let me
is
respond.
Jerusalem mentioned in the Quran?
Let me respond. Where in the Quran, Walid, does it mention Palestine? What ayah? What surah?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. No, you want the verse? You want the verse, please. Yeah? Yeah, I can pass it in a minute, yeah?
Yeah, it's not mentioned in the Quran. I can guarantee you.
How many times is Jerusalem mentioned in the Quran?
On Allah name mentioned. Al-Masjid al-Aqsa allazi barakna hawla.
No, it says the furthest mosque, which is not Palestine, and it's not.
But Palestine mentioned in Quran.
It doesn't tell you where this mosque is.
I leave a minute and come back. Yeah. Yeah, cool. And I come back with evidence now. You want to check it?
Walid,
you want to check it?
Walid, a question for you.
You want to change it?
Walid, we all agree that the Quran mentions the Al-Aqsa Mosque, but does it say where that mosque is in the Quran? Does it explicitly say where that mosque is? Like if you read in the Hebrew Bible about Solomon's temple, it will tell you where that temple is. If you read about where Joshua built an altar to Hashem after the Jewish people came into the
listen, my brother.
Where that
you're
is?
Asking me,
where
you're asking me.
If the Hebrew Bible tells you that Abraham dug some wells, it'll tell you where those wells were. It won't just say he dug some wells somewhere. It'll tell you they're in Beersheba. You can go and visit them now. You can visit the wells that Yitzhak Rabbeinu.
Okay, so in Quran and in Islam, we have something. When Allah ordered us to pray, it was in the night of Isra and Mi'raj. And in this night, we believe as a Muslim that the Prophet ﷺ Usriya bihi, which means that he traveled from Mecca to Palestine and from Palestine to the sky. When he gets the order for the Muslim to pray and how many times to pray. So in our Islam, the night we ordered to pray is memorized and mentioned in Quran like that. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى. She means praise to be to Allah who took the Prophet. Yeah.
Can I just answer you?
2 minutes, Alexander, before we move on.
Hold on, Joe. Just one thing, and then because you said something interesting. You said we as Muslims believe that this was but. Okay, you're entitled to.
Don't believe in my prophet.
You're entitled.
You believe in my prophet.
Hold on. No. You said.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't believe in anything.
Hold on.
I don't know.
Walid, please. Yeah. Let me finish my point, please. Right. You said that you believe as Muslims that the Al-Aqsa Mosque is in Palestine, but
no.
As much as you're allowed to believe what you like, I'm not going to tell you what your religious belief should be. But this is where you said you believe, and when you say you believe something, believing something is when you accept something as true without evidence. Because otherwise you know it, you don't believe it. So you're entitled to your beliefs, but the truth is that mosque didn't exist.
Okay.
It wasn't built.
You're playing with words again. I said that for us, yeah, because I'm talking to non-Muslim, I said we believe, because you don't believe in that, but it is a fact. It is a fact in our relation with the Lord, with Allah. We take it as a fact 100%, and everything in our Quran we believe in it, and on evidence, because we saw the evidence in our Quran. You understand? But because I'm talking to non-Muslim like you, I'm telling you how I believe, because I know you don't believe in this. You're not gonna believe in what I'm saying. You understand me?
So
Walid, don't play with words. Focus in the main point I'm talking about. Stop.
Why should I take anything you say seriously when you can't get the chronology of Moses and Solomon? Yeah. You then go on to tell me that the word Palestine is in the Quran. I can pull up a website where people ask a question and everybody is saying, as other respondents have mentioned, the land of Palestine is not mentioned by its name in the Quran. The Quran never mentions Palestine. Literally every single answer is saying it was never called Palestine. And they bring different ayahs and different surahs of what it was called in that time. It was never called Palestine in the Quran. Yeah. So why do I, a Jew, not a Muslim, seem to know more about your holy book when it comes to Israel or what you would call Palestine than you do? Yet you're the one that's saying that these aren't beliefs, these are facts in your religion when you don't even know your religion.
In my Quran saying that you cursed Joseph. If you believe everything in my Quran and you talking now like you believe, you know what's in my Quran. Don't you know that my Quran saying that the Jew was blessed and then they cursed and they lost in the land?
Mazel tov. That's your answer. Then you have no answer. Then you have no answer, Walid.
No answer. The answer for what, Joseph? Because you're talking to me with my
Palestine
religion.
does not exist in the Quran. Palestine does not exist in your Quran, and you said that it did. It doesn't. Anybody can go on a Quran website and search for the word Palestine, and it won't appear anywhere but the tafsir.
I just mentioned for you the verses that mean it. I remember the verse in my mind.
It says the word Palestine. Translate those verses.
Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Say them and translate them.
Sorry?
Say them and then translate them. And we're listening for the word Philistine.
سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى.
No, that's not saying Palestine.
Yes, المسجد الأقصى. Where is it? Al-Aqsa Mosque. Where is it?
So it doesn't say. It says the furthest mosque, and you're saying that's Palestine. Yeah, there were other ulama. There were other Islamic historians who say it wasn't in Jerusalem. So I accept that the mainstream. Walid, 2 minutes. I accept that the majority of Muslims today. Walid, listen. I believe that the majority of Muslims today believe that the furthest mosque that the Quran talks about is Jerusalem. That is the common belief amongst Muslims today. However, you did not say the furthest mosque. You said the word Palestine exists in the Quran. It doesn't. That was either a lie or a mistake. And you're preying on people not knowing Arabic to make that statement. When you recited the ayah, when you recited that ayah, it did not mention the word Philistine.
Okay.
It didn't.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did not mention the word Palestine, but it did mention Aqsa Mosque. Ask anyone. Ask little kid where is Aqsa Mosque. You know where is that? It's only one Aqsa Mosque. Why it's called Al-Aqsa? Anyway, do you know why it's called Aqsa? The fact in his name.
So educators. I'm Jewish, not Muslim. Educators. Why it's called this mosque.
So the first place we used to pray toward this wasn't the Kaaba where you see it. It was the Aqsa Mosque. And why is that? Because in this place, it was a holy place for Jew, Christian, and Muslim.
Thank you.
Thank you. And why was this place holy, Walid? Why was this place holy?
Because a lot of prophets, Allah said in His Quran, He blessed this place and around that. Why? Because this place there is so many prophets came there, who passed there, who lived there.
Jewish
The
prophets.
place is holy. Jewish prophet was outside Palestine, the last Jewish prophet, and the Jew killed him outside Palestine. So which kingdom you talk about? If you're talking about kingdom, you talked by Allah through a prophet. You killed this prophet.
Walid, it was holy. It was holy because the Beit HaMikdash, the Bayt HaMikdash, the Bayt Al-Maqdis.
Bayt Al-Quds.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That stood there. That was the Jewish temple. It was built by Jews for Jewish worship. And the other nations were welcome to pray there, but it was built by Jews for Jewish worship. It was under Jewish autonomy. Yeah? And the reason it was holy for Muslims was because the Jews had a temple there. The reason Muslims used to face and pray, Walid, the reason Muslims used to face and pray it is towards it is because Jews face and pray towards it. Yeah.
So why, if I'm gonna talk and accept what you're saying, why you always talking like the start of the prophet and the start of religion was starting from Musa and the place is holy because yes, Christian, Musa and Ibrahim as well, a prophet.
Jesus was a Jew. Isa was a Jew. You keep naming Jews. You just strengthen our argument.
Ibrahim was a Jew.
No, Ibrahim wasn't. I mean, he wasn't. He was before the covenant, but he was the father of the Jewish
father
nation.
of all the prophets. He's the fathers of all the prophets.
But Walid, you're missing my point. Walid, listen.
Does he have his holy site there, Ibrahim? Is there holy site for Ibrahim there in Al-Aqsa Mosque or not?
So we believe it was holy for all the patriarchs, but we believe it was promised to the children of Jacob.
Okay. So it didn't start by Jew. So the place is not holy only because the Jew came there.
Did Abraham have a kingdom there, Walid? Walid, did Abraham have a kingdom there? Did Abraham have a kingdom there?
You didn't. Pardon? The only people who have kingdom was Muslim there. You didn't. The Jew didn't. The Jew didn't, my brother. The Jew stayed outside there for 20 years. I can't remember exactly how many years.
Literally, Walid,
I seriously
think you're schizophrenic. You're schizophrenic. You literally keep saying the Jews had a kingdom there, and you name the Jews, Dawood, Suleiman, and then 2 minutes later you're saying the Jews were never there.
Yeah,
like,
man.
What are you smoking? I don't believe you're just smoking tobacco.
I'm not smoking anything. You're trying to make the history started by the Jew all the time, started by Musa all the time. No. There was prophet before that, and we follow them as we as Muslim. We follow the Christian prophet, the Jew prophet, Ibrahim as a prophet, the father of all prophets. So we follow all this holy place. So, but when you say you want to make Israel is only for Jew. Israel only become holy because of Jew, because of Jew people who came there. No. It's a holy for all people, for everyone. And under Muslim it was there. Like that. Under Jew, it's not like that. The mosque is closed. The mosque is getting attacked.
Walid, under Islam, Jews were persecuted there. Today, Muslims have complete religious freedom. But what I'm going to do, because I think we've been going out for an hour and 25 minutes, I'm now going to open the floor up to questions. And please, if you're in the audience, if you definitely want a question answered, you can drop a super chat on YouTube or a star on Facebook. And that really does actually help us to pay for these videos. But even if you don't super chat or drop stars, we'll still try and answer your questions. Mention who you're addressing the question to, and they will try and give an answer. So we'll just wait for the questions to roll on through. And Walid, anytime you've got to jump, just let us know.
There's one question here, but Walid, what's your IQ? That's a question for Walid.
No, I never did this test, Allah. I don't know. We don't do this test.
We had another question earlier on. Which university in Cairo did you go? That was from a friend Non from Speaker's Corner.
Well, no, it's called I don't know how to say. It's called the Uni of Commerce. So where you study business.
So you actually did go to study economics.
Yeah, man.
So Walid, there's another question here for you.
Listen, Joseph. Everyone talking about my IQ, my this, my that. I'm someone from Egypt, here from 5 years. Alhamdulillah, able to be here and talking and to represent myself as an Arab man, or in speaker corner or anywhere with this English. I don't think
Okay.
that I'm dumb. I think yes that my English is not the best. That's the way there is misunderstanding sometimes.
I agree, Waleed, and I think you actually represent yourself very well. You describe exactly what your beliefs are. So I think your English does not let you down.
Everybody understands. I think everybody understands your position very well. So, Waleed, there was one question for you, which was, when was the Al-Aqsa Mosque built? That's a question.
I can't remember. To be honest, I can't really remember. I'm not. Yeah. Well,
okay. There's also a question from Zafar Hussein, if you can find that in the chat, because this is somebody that's contacted me outside of the show with a question about the third temple.
I can't find that question. So if you could read it out.
So it's Zafar Hussein. It just says, Alex, can you answer the question of the third temple?
Okay, ask him to post it again.
Can I ask you something, Joseph? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, hold on, just 1 minute.
What do you think after the loss of America, your ally, after Afghanistan made her a joke? What do you, as an Israeli, always independent on America, always America protecting you? Now America in front of all the world is a joke. Even her allies doesn't trust her, because what happened? Even the allies doesn't trust what America gonna do. So
Waleed,
and listen, let me finish my question so you can answer.
I thought you
as
had.
an Israeli man, independent, and you know that only because America you are able to be there in the Middle East. So how do you feel after all this changes that's happening around you in the whole world?
So I can answer. In 1948, when 5 Arab armies invaded Israel, when you had the Arab Liberation Army on the ground, when you had the civilian population at war with Israel, when they were armed and trained by the best of the European powers, like the British, who armed and trained and led the Jordanian Arab League.
No.
At that time in 1948, listen, at that time in 1948, we were so poorly armed that there was one rifle for every three Israeli soldiers, one rifle between the three of them. We had 2 planes, 2 Messerschmitts, which came from Czechoslovakia because there was an arms embargo. We weren't able to arm ourselves. We had no support from America. America blocked arms and funding to Israel in 1948. When we were invaded by 5 Arab armies, and with no support, we repelled the best and the mightiest that the Arab world had to offer. And if America collapsed tomorrow, heaven forbid, it's a great country, I hope it doesn't, we would still survive every attempt at Arab conquest. Why? Because our backs are to the sea. We have nowhere else to go, and we no longer want to live under the boot of Islam, under the boot of fascism, under the boot of Europeans, under the boot of no one. We want to live as free men in our own nation, and we will outlive and survive any attempt at our end, with or without America or any other power in the world, because we did it in 48. And we'll do it in 2021, and we'll do it in 2022, and we'll do it in 2052. We will outlive your efforts to annihilate us.
No, I'm telling you, as Arab man, we the Arab, they have this thing, they begin it to America. You can say scared, they begin it, but for long time, it was only because America. And our experience when we entered the war with you, all your weapons, all your trade, all your planes, American. The British sold us fake weapons, weapon when you shoot it, it kills you. Doesn't kill the enemy, it kills yourself. Wallahi, that's the weapon we bought from England. It was killing us. Corrupted weapon, corrupted deal, and that's how you won anyway. But like what I'm saying to you, now the Arab woke up, the Arab around you, the people around you woken up. America, you can disrespect America and it's okay. Nothing gonna happen, Afghanistan won the war with nothing. Israel as well, Hamas playing in her mind with nothing. They have nothing. But you still saying that we will defend, we will do this, we will do that. No, Joseph, you can't, and you can't. I don't know if you know about Israel or not. They know that these warriors, all of them. We see what we know about them. We know what's going on there. Only because America is protected and the trusting.
Okay, so
soon it become your end, Israel end. It's very, very soon now. You know,
I think we've
very
addressed
soon.
all
That
of
can
those
happen
points.
anytime.
I think we've addressed all of those points, Waleed. So now we have a question from Hunting Shark One. Waleed, how comes first and foremost, Hunting Shark, thank you so much for the incredibly generous donation. I can't tell you what a difference these donations make. Waleed, they're going to buy Alexander a cable, so he's got a faster internet connection for one. Hunting Shark One.
Yeah.
Waleed,
if you donate a bit more, I might be able to afford a haircut.
Hunting Shark One, don't lose the payout. Waleed, how comes the Roman Empire, when they conquered the land, referred to it as Judea and had documented the Jewish people, but didn't document any mosque or Muslims in this land?
So the Roman Empire enemy to the Islamic Empire from day one. So many wars was between them. The reason they came to Palestine, the Roman came so many times only to attack Islam, only to take the holy places for Christian and the Jews. Jews and the Christian united so many times in the past, and they came attack. Salah ad-Din, when he kicked all Europe. Before Salah ad-Din, it was all Roman coming and also wars all the time for this holy place. So yeah, but the fact is, the Aqsa Mosque is there from 1400 years. The Roman Empire, I don't think I don't know how long was that, or you know, but yeah, that's my answer. Anyway, the Roman Empire is new. Aqsa Mosque is there for long. They are in war in Islam for a long time.
The answer to that question, I'm answering the question for you. It's like Islamic conquest happened centuries after, but the question is legit. The question is why it doesn't refer to the Muslims is because there were Jews there, and it was called Judea. Judea. The clue is in the name, Judea. And slow it down.
Yeah, the fact it's written in your books, that doesn't mean anything, to be honest, for us, you know. Yes, they came occupied, they came in war in Islam. Do you think they're going to comment anything about Islam? The people was killing anyone who can pronounce Arabic or pronounce the Quran. Anyone that say he is a Muslim, he is getting killed. That's what the Roman was doing, you know. So do you think they're gonna write anything about any mosque? Sure, no. Simple.
Waleed, when did the Roman Empire conquer Palestine? What year was that?
I don't know, man.
When did the Islamic when was the Quran revealed? What year was that in the Western calendar? Which one came first? The Roman conquest of the land of Israel or the Quran?
Wallah, I can't remember, man. What's wrong with that? Okay. I can't remember. Yeah. You know, I don't like to say something I don't know about it. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
If I don't know, I say I don't know, man. That's it. And really, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So we've had another super chat from Dunas, £502. Thank you so much. Does he believe Israel has the right to exist? Brackets. He does. No. I assume by he means Waleed rather than me or Joseph.
Doesn't have any right. Out of mercy, we should leave them peace. If they let them live, if they stop what they're doing with the Palestinian people, who stop taking more land, you know, out of mercy. But does they have the right? No, they have no right to be there. Okay. And if they keep carrying on, yeah, sure, we're gonna stop them one day. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so there was a question from Zafar Hussein, and he asked me on Twitter. He said, "Is it true that to build the third temple, that we will have to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque?" So we actually answered this in our discussion with.
Be honest in your answers, man. If you're gonna answer this question, answer it truly, or don't mention it, because we know the answer in it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give my answer, and then Joe, if you've got anything to add, or if you think the answer I've given is not.
Yeah, because Joseph as well talked about that in video. Yeah.
So I would say that will the Al-Aqsa Mosque be destroyed to build the third temple? The answer is I don't know. But what I would say is that if it is destroyed, it will be the Muslims who destroy it voluntarily, because they will recognize the need for the third temple to be built. So right now, we live in a place, there's a strife, there's a conflict. It's very hard to understand such a scenario. But when the Jewish Messiah arrives, there's going to be an era of world peace. So it's going to be complete clarity. As it says in the Hebrew scriptures, the knowledge of God will cover the earth as the water covers the sea. So there's going to be a period where there's complete clarity about religion. This is our opinion. The whole world will recognize the truth of the Jewish religion, and that includes the Muslims. And when the Muslims recognize the truth of the Jewish religion, they will happily take the mosque down themselves in order to build the third temple, if that is indeed necessary. But Joe, I know you have something to add on that.
Yeah, my position is really simple. There's enough space on the Temple Mount for us to have a temple, and for the beautiful buildings that were built many centuries ago by Muslims, for all of those buildings to coexist. When we had a temple, we had a gallery for the other nations. So there's no reason why those buildings should be destroyed. Jews don't destroy the religious buildings of others, which is why there are 400 mosques today in Israel, or over 400 mosques today in Israel. Some incredibly beautiful buildings, some of them very modern, with golden domes and minarets that look absolutely stunning, like the one in Abu Ghosh, which costs millions of dollars. Jews don't destroy other people's buildings. We're not the Taliban. We're not ISIS. We're just modern.
No, at all. Nothing.
Anyway,
you don't kick people out and it destroys their houses. Never happened.
Well, no, we don't destroy houses. We
Never.
destroy the houses of terrorists who believe that they will be rewarded with 72 virgins for murdering Jews. And the only way to deter a suicide bomber is by showing that there are ramifications for their actions, which affect those that are near and dear to them. So anyway, moving on, Walid. Moving on. That's my position.
You have answer for everything. Intelligent. Oh, Allah said He blessed you with intelligent. Allah said you are clever people. So
Amen.
you see, you have answer for everything. Anything you see, I'm seeing you breaking houses for women and the kids are crying, you know. But I'm telling you, because they're terrorists and terrorists. Why, man? The whole family is in jail. Her whole family, she have no men at all. You take them into jail and it destroys the house when the men in jail. And you're telling me because they're terrorists.
Okay, so anyway, I gave my answer. We have a difference of opinion.
How
That's fine.
making a woman in the street? How come
so.
making an old woman in the street sleeping is like preventing terrorist attack? How you arrested the terrorist or you killed them? How come destroying his family house is preventing attack?
I'll ask you a question. How do you deter someone from murdering children if they believe that murdering children will open the gates of Jannah, open the gates of heaven for them, and grant them 72 virgins? If they believe slaughtering Jewish children, will get them the highest levels of heaven, how do you deter someone? What could you possibly do in this world that would stop them, considering they are planning on leaving this world?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go and put his family in the street. I will, if I have a problem with someone is in wrong, I will punish him. I will.
That person's dead.
There's several ways to do it.
They've just blown themselves up and taken a kindergarten with them. They've just blown themselves up and taken a kindergarten with them.
What is okay? So what can you do? What is his mother doing? So okay. So if a rapist
do you love your mother?
Woman, are you gonna punish his mother?
Walid, do you love your mother?
What is his family? What is his family?
Do you love your mother? It's a yes/no question. Do you love your mother?
Yeah, sure.
Would you like to see her on the street?
Whoever did that, I will be terrorist to attack him one day.
So, but let's say you're planning to murder 9 children.
Yeah.
You're planning to murder 9 little children. If you knew that you're doing that, would see your mother living on the street, irrespective of what self-reward you think you're getting in Jannah, would you still do it? No, you think twice.
I will take this man who wanted to do that. I will prevent him. I will stop him from doing that, and I will take him to jail. But his mom, I will never throw her in the street. She might told her son, stop, don't do this stuff. Like any woman, when she tell her son, don't do drugs, don't rape women, and the son raped the woman, is it the mom's fault? The mom can't control him. But okay,
So,
and as
Waleed,
well, and as listen, let me finish because I let you finish. So when a kid seeing you as an officer punching or kicking his mom out of the street, do you think this kid will grow up as a normal man? You make it, because I believe terrorist people are mentally ill. You know, they become like that. You know, because there is stuff happened. Maybe they dumb. Maybe they, you know, whoever thinks that he can kill someone and go heaven for it. You know, we don't believe in this stuff. There is like something wrong in him. But also there is reason you push people. Someone saw his mom getting punched and he can't do anything. Someone saw his sister getting touched and getting thrown in the street and he can't do anything. What you doing? You think you preventing terrorists? You building terrorists there.
Okay, maybe we are.
Hate.
But I'm going to move the question. I'm going to move on to the next question. So Hunting Shark says, okay, Waleed, why did Rome document and record 4 revolts by the Jews, but again, no mentions of the Muslims, Islam, or Muhammad from the years 70 CE to 135 CE? And I'd just like to say, Hunting Shark, thank you. You're balling today. You're really helping the channel. So thanks for all the donations.
So what is the language was there at this time? At this time, what is the language was there for them? Hebrew, innit? Hebrew.
It was at the time there was a lot of Aramaic spoken, as well as Hebrew. Yeah.
Most of the written, even the Bible with translation, it was all around the Hebrew language at this time, innit?
There was Greek, Aramaic, and Hebrew. I think Greek, Aramaic, and Hebrew were the main languages spoken at that time.
Hebrew is the majority. Yeah, Hebrew is the majority, and this explains a lot. Especially if you're talking about enemies to Islam in this time, they hate Islam, they don't want Islam to spread, they scared from Islam, you know, at this
Waleed,
time.
I'm going to help you. What year was Muhammad born?
What year was Muhammad born?
Yeah.
In
what century? What century? What century?
In the 5th, 536, 5, 6, yeah, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's not exam. I'm not coming to exam.
It's fine. I don't mean to put you on the spot. What year does that say?
Yeah, but I believe it's around in the 5th century.
Waleed, what year does it say there? What year does it say there? What year does it say in the chat? In the chat, 70 CE, or maybe you can't see it. It says 70 CE to 135 CE. I'm helping you. Muhammad wasn't born then, but there were people living there, and it was Jews, and that's the point.
Yeah. What is the point of Jews who live? What does that mean?
The point is that before Islam came along and conquered Jerusalem, there were Jews living there. And
there is Jews converted to Islam.
I agree. There were Jews that converted to Islam.
What about them? Does they have the right now? Because they stayed Muslim and no one kicked them at all. They were Jew converted to Islam. You've
never asked me if I think the Palestinians or the Arabs that live there today should be kicked out. I don't believe anybody should be kicked out.
Nobody thinks anybody should be kicked out from their home, apart from maybe
you do. That's what you say. That's what you say. But look what happened in Silwan. Look what happened in Sheikh Jarrah. You know, yeah, you all took a nice, beautiful in camera. Yeah, that's not what you want. I know, but your soldier, the army there, is not doing that. Every single day, kicking people, you know.
Waleed,
listen. You know what happened yesterday, man? You know what happened yesterday? Look to how horrible they are. You know what they did? They forced the Palestinian family to knock down their own house. They forced the Palestinian to knock down, to break their own house, man. Yesterday.
What happens?
Yeah, but you're talking nice. I agree with you. You look innocent. Yeah, I mean.
Waleed, what happens if you build a house without permission from the local council? Right? Do the council say, "Okay, Waleed, your house is so beautiful, we're going to let you keep it," or do they send people round and force you to knock it down? What happens in this country? Do they send people round and force you to knock it down? So why is it different when that happens in Israel? Why is it different? I don't understand why it's different. Yeah, please.
You want me to answer? Yeah. In Europe, there is a law where you can break house if there is no one living in, and to go inside and live. And you know what? The government will not come and break the house. Another thing, I don't believe in England. If a family live in house from 40 or 50 years ago, they're gonna come and ask them, you didn't build this with permission and the council. The third thing is that I want to say that Israel every day is expanding. So today, my area might be following the Palestine Council, and I got the permission from them. Tomorrow, it might be following the Israel take the more land. So today, my area following the Israeli Council, which is just took this area today. So, and he comes to me, you don't have permission from me. Sure, I don't have permission from you. You wasn't here at all. 10 years ago, even if you was Israel, but 20 years ago, no Israeli was walking in this street. So how come you need permission? It's like sick mental way to take and destroy houses.
Okay.
Where is the permission? Sure, no permission. You wasn't here to give me permission.
So Walid.
No. I think let's just move on to another question, because we can just go backwards and forwards on the house building. Walid, we got a question from column 1. Why does Egypt lock Palestinians in Gaza and shoot them?
We have problem in Egypt, and there is people go train outside our border through in Gaza and they come back to fight us. So Egypt as a country want to secure our border. We have terrorists who is Egyptian, Islamic extreme, who think that Egyptian are kuffar and they need to kill them. So what we doing, we not like reasoning them or anything. But when Israel attacked, we opened the border. We send the hundreds of lorry helping. All the injured people came to Egypt with 500 ambulance. Send the 500 ambulance to Gaza to get the injured. And then any attack that happened from this bastard in Israel, we always talk to them and look after them. Because they're innocent. We can't see women and the kids injured and leave them, even if they kuffar, even if they're not Muslim. We can't see someone in our border like that. And these people, they have no mercy. The Israeli people, they have no mercy. You see them when they shooting women and they having fun. Proper, not human being, and even human being, the people who threw the Nagasaki and the Hiroshima bomb, they cried after it. But the Israeli people who when they shooting, you can see these videos, laughing, dancing, happy, I don't know, like ritual, like the people who suck blood. I don't understand it. In the last attack, wallahi, Joseph, you can see the soldier was dancing while they shooting. So it's like something mental, to be honest.
I'm going to respond. So I can get onto obviously the accusations at the end. But for those that missed that, what you heard from Walid was a first-class example of huge cognitive dissonance. So Walid is somebody who advocates for lifting the siege on Gaza. He says it regularly. I've heard you talking about lifting the blockade, opening the borders. I've debated you on these subjects. And yet, here you had him on this show, live for all of YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, declaring that the reason that Egypt needs a blockade on Gaza is because Hamas, which are Muslim extremists, which we agree.
Did I mention Hamas?
No, you said extremists.
I didn't mention Hamas.
You said extremists.
No, I didn't say Hamas. Yeah, but I didn't say Hamas.
So it's not Hamas? Who is it then?
No, it's not Hamas at all.
Who is it that's killing Muslims in Egypt?
ISIS,
fine. Okay. Yeah. So the same, let's just say terrorists. We'll agree with terrorists.
No, ISIS and the Hamas, two different things. Hamas,
I agree, they are. I agree, they are.
Palestine.
I agree,
ISIS
they are.
is,
Walid, I agree, they are. I agree, they are. So you're saying that terrorists in Gaza attack Egyptians, and that's why Egypt needs to blockade Gaza. Those same terrorists attack Israelis. Yeah. Do you see the cognitive dissonance? Do you see the hypocrisy? Do you see the double standard? When Muslim extremists, terrorists, Muslim and Muslims in Egypt and call them kuffar, you're like, yeah, we need to seal the borders. We can't let these people attack my people. But when those same terrorists attack Israel, you want Jews to just lay down and get massacred.
No, that's not what I said. The difference is the Palestinian people and the women and the children, they're not terrorists. The difference is we prevent ourselves from warriors, soldiers who getting paid, coming from coming from Iraq, coming from Syria, people who's coming to destroy the peace in Egypt. And the only borders they can use is Palestine. Why? Because Israel is not allowing Gaza to be secure, is not allowing them to build their own government. So the place are being used.
Getting to Gaza.
Why you don't let me finish, man? Why you don't let me finish? So the place is being used by so many terrorists for training or for so many stuff. Egypt preventing herself by blocking it, but in any time for Palestine, it's open, it's free. The Palestine people are not the same like the ISIS. The Palestine, they have the right to defend themselves. The Palestine, they have nothing to attack Israel with, but Israel always who started the attack with them. There's big difference between what don't compare to, It's not equal at all. Both are not the same.
Okay, I think the audience can make up I think the audience can make up their own mind on the hypocrisy and double and double standards. I'm going to put up a new question, and I think we'll have one more question after this, and then we're going to close off on a 2-hour debate because it's been a long time, and I am starving. So Frederick Salim Rahman says, Joseph, there was never a state called Kurdistan, no Kurdish currency, etc. Does that mean the Kurds as a people do not exist? If so, why don't you consider Palestinian people? I think it's a good question. So the Kurds are a people. They have a language. They're an Iranian people. They have a language. They have a collective history. They have a shared culture, which is distinct from the peoples around them. The Palestinians do not have a culture, a language, or anything like that, which is distinct. So they're a 100% ethnic groups of people who've lived in a region for a long period of time and have been under the boot of others. The Kurds are a great example. The Palestinians are not, because there's no difference between a Palestinian and a Jordanian. They are exactly the same people with the same culture, the same history. And so that's the question. We'll take one more question from the audience. I'm just going to scroll down and I'm just going to pick one at random.
There was a good one I said earlier. Was Walid, will you be converting to Judaism and making Aliyah?
No, I'm already believing with Musa, believing with all what he, all that came and revealed to him. I'm already believing Jesus. I'm at the end of the all Muslim. Me being Muslim is believing with Judaism, So it's a part of me. It's to continue in my belief. So that's it. But it's I'm not gonna deny Islam at the come to Judaism. Never happened. Yeah? Islam is the truth.
So we've got one last question, and then we'll call it. Walid, I can show you thousands by someone called Uri Gobi, who I actually know. Walid, I can show you thousands of videos of Arabs handing out sweets in the streets in celebrations to the murder of 3,000 people in 9/11, and also every time there were innocent civilians killed in Israel, including babies who were killed. So is that okay?
It's not okay, and I never saw what you saw that. But anyway, let me respond from my heart here. If you show peace, you will find the peace. If you share love, you will find the love. If you share hate, you will find the hate. The Arab, no one can think about the Arabs. They came recently or in the recent history and occupied anyone or attacked anyone. Or the Muslims, they don't invade countries. They don't do most of what we're talking about now. Think from the First World War. Look how crazy was the world in the First World War, Second World War. So at the end of the day, if America shared love to the world, they will get love. No one is happy, or this Arab people you're talking about, you saw the videos they were happy that people died. No, they were happy that America is suffering, because America made Iraqi people suffer. America, look at Iraq now. They went to look for weapons, but no weapons, and destroyed the country and left. All of you now ignoring that, and all of you are, no one thinking or care about this Iraqi people. No one cared, the Arab, everyone is racist towards them. No one think about their rights to build a nation and what America did to them. America destroyed the whole nation and left. So sure, people will show hate to America, will be happy when anything bad happened to America. So I think that's fair enough.
So you heard it first here. No Muslim have ever conquered any land or ever invaded anywhere. Islam didn't conquer most of the known world.
In the recent history.
In recent history, so yeah, no Muslims went from Europe, from Iraq, from various places to Syria to fight for ISIS. No Muslims have went around the Ottomans didn't conquer vast stretches of land. This has never happened. Muslims have never ever invaded anywhere. You heard it first from Walid.
Muslim doing accident. Muslim extreme. Listen. One Muslim doing accident. One Muslim join ISIS. Some Muslim doing that. We billions. In the recent
Islamic history is a history of conquest.
Tell me which Arab country occupied, like Israel. Tell me which Arab country woke up in the morning itching. I remember my granddad used to live here. I want to take this country.
You've literally got Muslim conflicts at the moment in Nigeria, in Somalia, in Sudan, in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq. You've got Afghanistan. You've got conflicts everywhere in the Muslim world. You're literally, if you believe, I'm just going to end it here, but what I'd like to do, I'd like to ask anyone that you're watching, if you want to see more debates like this, make this possible via our Patreon. It really helps. If you can't help us on Patreon, you can buy the merch, like this great Herzl is my homeboy t-shirt, or you can follow us on all of our social media and share these videos, hit the like buttons. It all really helps. What I'd like to do is
we have another super chat. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, we have one more super chat. Okay, sorry.
From Dunas 500 at £2. Thank you very, very much. Again, I assume, talking to Walid, he knows that Israel is mentioned in Jewish books.
Yeah, it's mentioned in Quran as well.
Perfect. Okay, I'm just going to keep it brief because that's thank you for doing this for the donation. Really helps, and we all agree on that. What I'd like to do, because I think we've said a lot. People listen to us all the time. Alexander, Walid, I'd like to give you the closing comments. We're going to go out with whatever you say. So use this as an opportunity to give what message you want to give to the Zionists, to the Jewish people, and to the antis that are watching today. So take it away.
So, peace and blessing to all the Jews. I knew that it's your new year. So I hope all the Jews have a nice, blessed Eid. If you heard any Muslim or any Arab talking about Israel, it might mix. It might, because Israeli are Jewish, so it might mix. But in our Islam, we love you people. You Ahl al-Kitab, you the people of the book. I hope for you nice Eid Mubarak for you.
Amen.
Yeah, and I hope peace go around the whole world. If I'm explaining what's inside me, it's not just I'm showing hate. It's just I'm trying to make you understand how I'm suffering. Maybe you can work on yourself, change something. All what we need is to see the people in Palestine in peace.
Oh, we've lost.
We've lost them.
An appropriate place to end.
I think that's a great. I wish we literally just start. Walid, you cut out then, but I just want to say that was a beautiful blessing. Thank you. I pray for the same. And what I would say is, I wish we just started, introduced you, and went to the ending, and it would have been the perfect live stream. Complete agreement. And I also pray for peace between Jews and Muslims.
No, thank you for having me on, Joseph. I really like I love talking about this case, and especially with someone like what I said. I believe it explains a lot. I believe you can know from it, people from I don't know, people from Israel can know what is in the Arab young men's heart. Maybe that's it.
I think I agree.
Okay,
I think it's really
one from No Anti-Semites, a £5 super chat. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, and Walid to respect. Kiss.
Thank you.
Respect to you as well. Thank you so much. And respect to Walid and Joseph and to all of our listeners.
By the way, Walid, I just want to say this is the most money we've ever made in super chats. So yeah, you're a cash cow.
Yeah.
You're turning.
You are doing fantastic work for the Israel advocacy movement. You're keeping us in smoked salmon bagels.
We'll plant a tree in Israel in your honor.
because I was there, but just to remember, any poor man with anything when you walk in, even 1 pound will have.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Not on Thursday, because I think we won't be here. Be well. Fast well if you're fasting.
Okay.